course you're nuts. How can you not be nuts, man? Even Christ, plainly, look, you got to hate your life in this world. Why? Because it's run by evil men. I mean, if there was a better word that didn't sound religious, I'd use it. But what word is better than evil? I mean, monster, evil, I mean, wicked, I'm nefarious. They've got bad motivation, bad actors. They're mean people. They're violent people. They'll do whatever it takes. They don't care about conscience or soul, stuff that normal people have an instinct to care about. To see things from God's point of view, it's God's planet. We're God's equally beloved children. What would you want if you were God? How would you be any less than the best? And nobody could ever exhaust the depths of your goodness by imagining it. Wow, how good is God? When you want to know, you want to learn, how to be better and nicer and sweeter and more compassionate and merciful and loving. Then we turn to God for all good things, all good qualities, characteristics, and attributes. But it all makes sense through God's eyes. And money is not a creation of God. It's an invention of these evil men to take advantage of what in their sick and twisted, ungodly, evil minds is, hey, yeah, we're above God. We don't care. We're mean. We just don't care. We don't have boundaries like you self-imposed goody two-shoes. We do what we want. That's why we rule over you, because you're the dumbasses playing nice, not figuring it out, not being as smart as us. Otherwise, you'd unify and kick our butts out of office. You'd say you change the rules. No, you guys, this is not a year lease anymore, okay? It's month to month. That's what we're going to do. You'll give you 1 year, a 1-year lease in office in the Congress and the Senate, the governorship, the presidency. That's it. I mean, let's change the rules to favor the people. We don't need money at all. It's a scam. It's a scheme. That's what raising your cost of living is. It's a way to extract the taxes from the poorest of poor, make their lives even more miserable than they are, until they're in desperate fear of homelessness, destitution. Absolute destitution. Yeah, of course people are. I mean, they don't care. You don't understand. Do you understand what people clear on a minimum wage job? And then they're going to blame them. They get blamed. People work in jobs that aren't enough to be homeowners, that aren't middle class, and they're the ones that get blamed for the problems. Well, they're giving them a raise. Even the rent went up for those people. And they're causing inflation by asking. It's such a lie. That is such a straight up lie, friends. You've got to understand. We're not wondering if what came first, the chicken or the egg here. The justification for raising the wages, their cost of living went up. One thing came first. Do you understand? They're cheating people. They're stealing from people. Minimum wage could be 50 cents an hour today, but be worth more than that $1 an hour in the early 60s that would afford you a middle class life. That's if we were making this much progress. But no, friends, I want you to know the difference between progress and regress as well as I do. And this is regress. When that wealth imbalance keeps growing, when it keeps getting harder and harder and harder to have the same standard of living, that's not the way it's supposed to be under capitalism, under supply and demand. No, the shelves are bulging everywhere. The shortages are over in the supermarkets and they still keep raising. Now what's their excuse? Well, our costs went up. The energy costs, yeah, that's all it takes. Chain reaction inflation. Gasoline went up, right? Biden said, no, we got to give billions to Ukraine. We got to, we're going to have to stop buying Russian oil. And we got to, raise, sorry, but, that's just the way it is. And so everything else, you notice, went up in unison shortly thereafter. That's the pretext. That's the pretense. That's the excuse. That's the reason, right? So you understand why there's inflation. And sometimes they'll call it good, and sometimes they'll call it bad, like the Fed. We're trying to walk that line. We want inflation because it's good for business. And, investors, they don't want to invest unless they're going to make a profit, right? They want returns. You see, it's so sick, man. The entire system is just rife with evil and madness and sickness. And it filters down, it trickles down into your local communities. It divides us all. These people, we got to be as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves, just like Christ said. You got to get in the minds of these madmen. Unfortunately, they're evil geniuses. But until we do, they're going to keep running the show. Until we unify, get over this Democrat-Republican crap, this conservative-liberal crap that they've created, they've invented, this division, this socialist, capitalist crap, and say, yeah, they're just scamming us. They're just keeping my brother or sister. Everybody's got a relatives that's poor and struggling, right? Probably homeless. Excuse me. Do you understand what I'm saying here? I mean, if we don't look at things through God's point of view and say we're all brothers and sisters, and until we please God, we'll never find genuine happiness. And how are we going to please God when we don't care about each other, when we care more about money than human beings? But that's what we're being manipulated and controlled by these monsters, these evil men. So yes, they're rendering us in their image and likeness. Chuck your conscience, chuck your caring and concern, your stupid love. It's not going to pay your bills. Get your butt to work. Punch that clock, damn it. You fear me. Did you hear that plane going? We're going to have nuclear war. Get busy. You're overwhelmed. Hey, don't worry about fixing this problem, that unifying and wealth imbalance and the middle class gone. It's a dinosaur. It's a yesteryear. That's archaic. No. Poor, we need to keep a huge swath of the population desperate, fearful, poverty-stricken, permanently, and then blame them and set up social welfare programs and then blame those lazy welfare cheaters. That's what we're going to do. We're going to show you we don't care about your organic suffering, what diseases or ailments or afflictions or injuries or diseases you might get. We don't care that you're going to die. We don't care you're going to die a pauper and leave your children in debt. We don't care about any of those things. Get to work. Crack that nut. Pay that mortgage. Pay that rent. Pay the higher prices at the grocery store. Pay the higher prices at the gas station. Pay the higher prices everywhere you go. Do you understand? And if you can't cut the mustard, you're out of there. Out there. You live in a shed. You live in the bushes. You die, we don't care. We're shipping in young, strong immigrants every day. We don't need you. Do you understand, you greedy minimum wage worker? I mean, that's a spirit I feel. And it's so evil and vile. And I want everybody to share it and say, it is. It's ugly, man. And if we let them render us in their image and likeness, we're all going to be so freaking ugly. I mean, it's just so, it's dog eat dog. Yes, of course, duh. I mean, that's all, right? That's it, man. It's a rat race. Yes, get it through your head. Get it, understand, yes. Yes, dollars, cents, money. Go make money. Forget that. Hey, yes, we measure stuff in terms of dollars, how much it cost to build this bridge, but not man hour. We don't care about that. Remember, there's desperate people all over the planet we could bring in anytime we want. We make sure they're desperate. We're the most influential nation on the earth. We're the world's reserve currency here in America. We're screwing it up for everybody. And then we're going to tell them how to run the show. Look what's going on in Sudan now. What do we have to teach the world? But yet we're still the ones that are supposedly doing this? Who's really pulling the strings? Who's really controlling things? Because things are on an international level now. It's a biblical scale. I mean, with NATO and then Germany, and you talk, the Fourth Reich maybe setting up, and the 10 heads talked about in Revelation and all this. You start putting it all together, and you say, the showdown, Armageddon, and all this. Wow, man, it's freaky. It's freaky deaky, man. The fear that these evil idiots want to instill on us. It's freaky deaky. And we need God's intervention. And that's precisely what is prophesied. God intervenes. I mean, we're talking mind blowing stuff. I mean, that, if I said it, it would sound bizarre. It'd sound like a nutcase. But it's right in Scripture, man. I mean, there is more powerful forces than our militaries, all our militaries on earth. Okay, I mean, we're talking about reports from high ranking militaries. Hey, with impune, these crafts are coming into our atmosphere. We got nothing that can stop them. They come, they hover right over their nuclear ICBM facilities, and they're able to deactivate the entire system, shut them down. We can't use them. Fascinating, isn't it? When the Bible talks about these holy angels. I'm not saying every UFO is a holy angel. There's all kinds of crap going on from other planets. Probably rubberneckers, scientists, reality shows on other planets. God knows what the hell's going on. There's a lot, though. There's a lot of technology that is not commonly understood, though a few human beings do understand how it works. Anti-gravity, gravity, amplification. It's, the same basic theory, principle. So, yeah. Yeah, it's like creating your own atmosphere. The same way the planet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, but we can't feel it. Why? Because we have the atmosphere. We have gravity. Yeah, that's some high-tech stuff that God created here. Yeah, so there's some high-tech crafts out there. But anyhow, I mean, do you think that, they'd say, oh, that's national security? What the hell? You mean the general public should know that there's higher beings than these humans that we need to fear, that we should above all fear God? What? That's newsworthy. So why don't the evil men? Because they're control freaks. They're power-drunken, bloodthirsty monsters. I mean, you tell me. So try to make some logic. I mean, at the end of the day, you really can't understand the mind of a madman, but you get in far enough and you see that they're sick. They need us in fear. They need us confused, discombobulated, disempowered, disunited. Do you understand? That they need that worldwide, and in your local community. They need it in the states. They need it in the countries. So you understand what I'm saying here? The last thing they want is us to figure it out and say, well, let's have the rules bent for the people. We the people decide. We don't like the politicians. After 1 year, you're out of there. It's a month to month. Right? Like the landlord-tenant relationship. You're the tenant, politician, Congress, Senate, executive. You're the tenant. Governor, mayor, supervisors, city council. You're the tenant. Do you understand how this works? Legislator. Unless we the people like what you're doing and we see the wealth imbalance shrinking because we start seeing the poor drying up and they're at least being able to experience basic creature comforts, basic life necessities, basic human needs. And then we see those that were poor starting to enter middle class, and the middle class starts entering prosperity. Trickle up prosperity is what we want, not trickle down prosperity. That doesn't work. Evil men don't like to share. But the poor always share because all they have to give is their strength, their labors, their work, their service to humanity. That's all they have to give. And that is worth more than everything. According to Adam Smith, probably the world's greatest economist, I mean, that's every nation's single greatest asset, is its workers. Because after all, I mean, when you think about it, he's absolutely right. That's very succinct to say that. But how true is that? Nothing gets done. Absolutely nothing. Stuff stops in the factories and the farms. Stuff stops. Transportation stops. Building stops of all types without basic labor. Without all these people that we subjugate and cheat and blame for raising our cost of living. When all they're doing, they're just trying to get ahead, man. They want to. They don't want their lives to get harder. They don't want to leave a legacy for their children where, yeah, sorry, but I just copped out and I just squeaked by and sorry I left you with debt and things are going to get harder, so it's going to get miserable. So you're going to want to die and like your immune system is going to break down. We're going to make things so miserable and difficult and burdensome and loathsome that you just give up and you go be homeless and you're a degenerate and everybody looks down on you and you walk around in soiled clothing, maybe pushing a shopping cart. That might be you. So, that's pretty good incentive. That's fire under the behinds of a lot of people out there to keep doing what